The Conservative government's deal to buy the votes of 10 Northern Irish MPs by giving them an extra billion of our money is little short of legalised corruption. Of course, Mrs May, as leader of the largest party at Westminster, is entitled to try to form a government by making alliances with other parties. But she's not doing it because Northern Ireland necessarily has a just case for the money compared with other parts of the UK. No, Mrs May is doing it because after a desperate general election result, she needed the DUP votes to keep her and her party in power. The £1 billion is the DUP's price for supporting her. That's the equivalent of £100 million for every one of the MPs. That's more expensive than Cristiano Ronaldo. Mrs May has become the Sepp Blatter of British politics. And I thought I got rid of him when he was finally chucked out of FIFA after spending years doing what Mrs May is now doing, offering people money to keep her in power. Shame on you, Mrs May.
Just to clarify, could we get 10 Cristiano Ronaldo? Because then I'd definitely watch Prime Minister's Questions. Is it a shabby deal? Yes, it is. Is it realpolitik? Greg, yes, it is. How does this differ from when the Labour Party was in power? They understandably, and it's the way politics works, they channeled hundreds of millions of pounds to great sleeping cities in the north where their core vote is. They redid Manchester, they redid Leeds, they redid Sheffield, as it happened. How is that in any way different? You always play to your strengths. You always send the money where your voters are. And this, I'll grant you, this is shabbier, but it's the same sort of shabby.
No, it's a lot shabbier. It's a lot shabbier.
Why?
Because it's blatant. It's just buying votes. It's just buying
and keeping
votes.
the people of Manchester with new houses.
It might be.
Well, thank you.
But Northern Ireland needs extra money. It could be that's the case. But that's not the basis of this decision. No. This decision is based on getting 10 votes for Mrs May's party.
It's also, I mean, some people would say, and it would be the 42.5% who voted Conservative, of course, that it would stop Mr Corbyn getting through the door at number 10, and therefore it's money well spent.
Well, that's for the electorate to decide in elections, not at this particular moment.
The unfortunate thing is, I think you're right, shabby way of doing things. But that is the reality, and it's been much less blatant over the years. But effectively, to use your introduction around football, we've gone from a hung parliament to a bung parliament. And the fact is that I think we all look at it and just go, is that how blatant these things can be? Well, and that's the distasteful
I don't think they have ever been this blatant in British politics. And they've always been like this in America, we know that, but they've not been like this in British politics. And suddenly we've seen the reality of saying, I want your 10 votes, what do you want in exchange?
Well, that's what Cameron did with Cleggie.
No. What Cameron and Cleggie did was they sat down and said, what parts of this policy could we support and what parts can't we support? That's fair enough. That's what coalitions are about. But to give to one political party £1 billion, effectively to give to any area they come from. I mean, put it the other way around. Say the Labour Party had done a deal with Sinn Féin. To turn up.
I mean, that really is an extreme. So you think, don't even turn up.
So you think the DUP's background in violence in Northern Ireland is not massively different from Sinn Féin's? Let's not kid ourselves that this is a pure party that's always believed in democracy. It's not true. All right, let's say they'd done a deal with the Scottish. You would have been going mad if they'd done a deal with the Scottish by giving more money to Scotland. You'd have gone mad.
Anyone would almost think you've been in broadcasting, Greg, because you lead me neatly into something I want to play you from someone from the DUP, Nigel Dodds, addressing this very point.
Someday, I'd like to think we might publish all of the correspondence and conversations we had in 2010 with the Labour front bench. And in 2015 with the Labour front bench. And indeed with the SNP as well.
There's a bit of news.
Because some of the faux outrage that we have heard is hypocrisy of the highest order.
I mean, hypocrisy's right, because ultimately this goes on, and it just doesn't go on quite as blatantly.
But that man has now got an A&E at the bottom of his garden, which is rather good, isn't it? But the reality is, it is faux, as every Ulsterman. It is faux outrage, because if the Labour Party were to have done that deal in 2010 or 2015, you would have supported that. It's just that the Conservatives were successful.
No, you're wrong. I wouldn't have done it. If it was a deal that said on policy, we'll change this and we'll change that, which has also happened in this case. I mean, the whole triple lock of old pensioners, the opposition to that has all gone, right? That's fair enough on policy. This is not. It's a bribe. It's a straightforward bribe. Here is £1 billion for you to go back to your electors to say you've got £1 billion for this area for no reason other than the fact we'll vote for you.
So where's the Barnett formula when we need it?
Yeah.
Well,
does that come to play?
Well, I've tried to find out more about the Barnett formula, and what I've discovered is that it's a slush fund and always has been.
This is a calculation by which it's worked out each citizen of the United Kingdom gets a certain amount of state funding, whether they're in England,
well,
Scotland.
and particularly Scotland.
I
mean, it is interesting that the people who've shouted the most are the Scottish and the Welsh, saying, hang on, if they're going to get extra money, we want extra money. Well, if there was to be a rational discussion and saying there needs to be more money to spend in the more deprived areas, and I think it's perfectly valid for England to say, well, hang on, what about us? Or parts of England?
And also, Nick, if this wasn't a bribe, then, you know, Northern Ireland has always had these problems. Clearly, then, surely this £1 billion should have been in the Tory manifesto. Look, why is it all of a sudden when you need...
I've always said it's shabby. I've not... From the get-go, I said it's shabby, but it's just as shabby as other deals.
And clearly there is a magic money tree, because where did this billion come from?
I cannot think of another time... when this has happened. Oh, yes, I can. One, which was when there was an...
What about Callaghan? There was...
there was an by-election...
You're talking about
there was a by-election...
long gone, gentlemen.
There was a
step out of this.
No, there was once a by-election in Hull. There was a by-election in Hull where the Labour Party decided to build that bridge across the Grimsby.
Oh, right.
You know, which
the
is probably
Dewberry Bridge.
Yeah,
What about Surrey County Council, who also got a nice bribe from the Conservatives?
Well, of course, that was denied, wasn't it? But that was when they were going to have a vote.
I think that the point that June's making about it not being in the manifesto is key, because I don't want this to sound like, well, I personally don't have a problem with Northern Ireland getting more money. Lord knows they need it. You know, there's real problems of underdevelopment, poverty, suicide in Northern Ireland.
We can accept that.
Yeah, and, you know, I've been reporting on those as a journalist. I think it's great that Northern Ireland is getting more money, especially if it represents the end of austerity, because we could do with some more money in Northern England and in Scotland and Wales, as we all established. And Northern Ireland already gets more per head than any other part of the UK.
You're spending money again you haven't earned. No, stop it a minute.
God knows what your
bank
balance is like.
What are the chances, just quickly, what are the chances of the DUP coming back in 2 years' time saying, we want more?
Oh, it's a certainty. It's a certainty.
Nick?
Look, what happens
I'm not saying it's not shabby, double negative. It is
answer the question. Do you think they'll be back in 2 years asking for more money?
I don't know that this will last 2 years. I think it will probably limp through for the 2 years, and then the whole thing will probably dissolve and we'll probably go to the polls again.
I just think we just had an election where we saw record numbers of young people voting. I wonder how it looks to people who are becoming inspired to engage.
Because they vote the wrong way.
The other thing,
people who are inspired to engage in political process must be watching this and thinking, what kind of so-called democracy is this? This is the kind of thing, if we saw it in an African country, we would be threatening to withdraw aid.
The other thing is, just quickly, the other thing is as well, though, is on a serious note, what is the impact of this on the Good Friday Agreement, in the sense that does that create more of a rift? Because obviously the Conservatives have aligned themselves.
It's quite hard, though, if you're one of the other parties in Northern Ireland, to make a bunch of a fuss about it, because there's £1 billion coming to you. What I'm saying is, we have to behave properly and fairly, and this is neither proper nor fair. It's just a bung.
Talking about proper and unfair, let's go to...
Absolutely. I think it's talking about bungs. I would have sued you big time.